The Phillies are back in action tonight. They got a win last night. Scott Kingery with his first ever Grand Slam. Seth Everett, NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 Sports Talk Network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. He covers the Major League Baseball game that we're about to get into. And, Seth, you know, the first 2 weeks of the baseball season, the Phillies are 500, but, man, they have been an interesting story to say the least. Where would you start when you look at this Phillies team?
Well, let's say this. I was at their home opener, and there's a little bit of a buzz. And that was nice. I want to give, first of all, this is the first time I'm on since it happened, but I want to give the Phillies a lot of credit for the way they did the ceremony for Roy Halladay. I thought that was very classy. I saw the Blue Jays one on TV, but I was there for the Phillies one, and I thought that was really, really nice. That being said, I can tell you a quick story. I don't think I've spoken to you since you got hired, but, when I was at MLB Radio 10, 15 years ago, we used to have these deals with players where they would host their own shows, and you were kind of like the moderator, and they would take comments, and it was emails. It was in the early 2000s, and one of the guys that we did a weekly appearance with for MLB Radio when he was with the Texas Rangers was Gabe Kapler, and I got a chance to really know Gabe Kapler, and I can say that, and I mean this affectionately, that I would look forward to that show because I had no idea what the heck was going to come out of this guy's mouth. And when that move got made, and I have ties to the Phillies organization, and I would say I'm a Phillies fan, and I make no secret about that. My time with the Phillies was really enjoyable. But when I heard that Gabe Kapler was announced as the manager, I did a double take. I was like, are you serious, that guy? And what I have said is, look, you want to talk about the bringing in a guy who hadn't warmed up and some of the other kooky moves, but the reality of it is that his press conferences are a delight. And nothing has graced my iPad faster than a Gabe Kapler pregame press conference. They are hysterical. And you never know where he's going to go. And I would love to talk to players and just find out if that message is resonating, because it is quite a message. And he is quite a unique individual.
Well, early on, is it resonating? I mean, the first game he takes out Nola, we know that. Then he brings a reliever in who wasn't warming up. The defensive alignment.
But that's not. Yeah, but that, first of all, the not bringing in, that's a communications mistake. And by the way, his pitching coach Rick Kranitz, he had that situation in Milwaukee once, where he hadn't told a guy to get warmed up. So if anything, if you want to blame somebody, it's Kranitz on that. The story about taking the pitcher out, that is a philosophical difference in baseball.
Right. And
what's happened as a result is Kapler's doing what the front office is telling him to do. And that's all these managers. That's Craig Counsell in Milwaukee, and Torey Lovullo in Arizona, and Dave Roberts in Los Angeles, and Mickey Callaway with the Mets, and what's-his-face, Cora with the Red Sox, and Aaron Boone. They all do the same thing.
Right.
They are good communicators. I mean, Aaron Boone was an awful broadcaster, but other than that, they're good communicators, and they find that, they try to convey a message, and they have to be the guy that takes the bullet. And that's why Terry Collins, and I can tell you this story firsthand, that's why Terry Collins had to leave the Mets, because he was doing things that the team was telling him to do that was against his beliefs, and he just kind of sat there and took the bullets for it.
So Seth, this is something that's going on. This is something that's going on all over baseball now. You're saying that the front offices are essentially, for some intents and purposes, managing these teams.
Sure, I think that everything is micromanaged. It's all by a committee. And, these general managers and the assistants to the general managers and the assistants to the traveling secretary and, all these people, everybody has a vote. And, the biggest joke, there was a joke in New York. I was a cartoonist that said that if Aaron Boone wants to make some kind of a change, how fast does he have to text Brian Cashman?
Right.
And it's hysterical. And that's why you're seeing that, the Buck Showalters are a dying breed. And I talked to Buck Showalter about this, and he knows that once this job with the Orioles is over, he's not getting another one. And his relationship with Dan Duquette is the only reason why he is still a manager, because that's not the trend. Mike Scioscia, Bruce Bochy, these guys are a dying breed. And what you're starting to see is these young cats who were players. And this is going to sound really strange, but it's true. It's how well they talk to millennials. Because if you think about what today's young players are, they're obsessed with Snapchat and Twitter and Instagram and all these things, and they have to speak that language. And that's not what Joe Girardi does. Mm-hmm. That's what Gabe Kapler does. And Gabe Kapler is a great communicator. Like I said, I find him hysterical. I say it in an affectionate way. I did not like Gabe Kapler. I just always was like it was almost like, the Bugs Bunny cartoon where you just kind of roll your eyes and go, oh, Gabe, right. There we go again.
Well,
that's what it's going to be. And I think Philly fans they'll embrace it if they win.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think I said this yesterday, Seth. He's up against it because, nobody was like, they got to get this guy Kapler. So he had no support coming in, and the first thing he did was rub people the wrong way. So he's got a huge mountain to climb to win these people back over. Now, you win a couple games, that certainly will do it, but it doesn't help when Nick Williams says, the computer doesn't have me in the lineup, and then there's anonymous quotes coming out. I mean, it just doesn't have a good start for him to try to win the people back over. And not that really matters. If he wins, the people will like him. If he doesn't, he's going to get killed.
That could happen on a run. I'll be completely honest. And let the Phillies just kind of hang in the weeds and continue to be a 500 club. And I will say this. What's the difference between 81 and 85 wins? Because 81 wins, to me, is the goal. 85 wins is a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. Because I think 85 wins can get you a wild card.
Okay.
And so what are we talking about? Is this a 75-win team, an 81-win team, or an 85-win team? And right now, he's 500. So let's just ride this thing.
Sure. And they get Arrieta. People, I think, when they got Arrieta, the expectations changed. I don't know if they were realistically a wild card team with Arrieta. But I thought when they made the deal with Kingery meant, hey, we're really trying to put the best team out there. So that was a nice message to me anyway.
And I think they are. I think that it's one of those situations, though, where before the season I said that they were on the uptick, but that they were a year away. And I thought that it would behoove the Nationals to make sure they won the division because the rest of them are coming. The Mets are better, the Braves are better, and the Phillies are better. And that's going to affect the Nationals' ability to have this stranglehold on the division. And it's coming. And I see the Phillies are starting to really improve. But I don't think they're there yet. And I don't think that's – I'm not going to sit here and say that if Joe Girardi was the manager, this team's 5 games over 500. I won't say that.
If anything,
I don't like Joe Girardi.
If anything, they're interesting.
Yeah, they are. And look, it's been a glorious run for Philadelphia between the Super Bowl and the NCAA title. So let's just keep this going and hope for the Sixers for a real fun run. Let them win a couple of rounds and see where that goes. And then you'll get to the summer and see where this team's at, and we'll take stock then. And I just think to jump to conclusions on a baseball team that's 10 games into the block because they were trying something a little bit radical in bringing in one of these young managers, when I just gave you 10 other teams that did the exact same thing, let's see where it is.
Seth Everett, he tells it like it is. NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. Download the NBC Sports Radio mobile app today. Seth, I know you're a hockey guy. Enjoy the playoffs, my man.
Let's go Devils.